Have you ever sat in silence and felt a disharmony? Perhaps your grown child was near, sharing words, but beneath the words, you sensed a current flowing backward. A subtle twist not in the stomach, but in the center of your heart. You let it pass. For this is your child. You have seen them from a seed to a towering tree, with their own branches, leaves, storms, and seasons. And so, when a sharp wind blows from their direction, it is natural to think they are simply weary. The words carry no weight. Perhaps my heart is too open, too sensitive. But what if I told you that some of these currents, these winds that carry a chill, are not mere passing weather? What if they are signs? Signs that the great river of connection between you has been obstructed, and worse, that its source, your heart, is being diminished. I am not speaking of the natural turbulence that all rivers encounter. That is the nature of flow, of life itself. We all have moments of rapids, of confusion. I am speaking of a persistent pattern, words that reveal not a momentary cloud, but a state of being, a forgetting of respect, a forgetting of care. Words that, when they echo again and again, can chip away at the mountain of your spirit, at the stillness of your inner lake. This sharing is not an invitation to abandon the garden you have tended. It is an invitation to guard its sacred center. It is to recognize when a stream has turned toxic, and to find the strength to step back from its waters. Even when that stream flows from your own garden, when it no longer honors you with the purity of love. Let me ask you this. Has your son or daughter ever said to you, "You were never truly here for me," with a coldness in their voice, long after you gave all that you were? Perhaps you worked 2 fields, sacrificed your own rest, poured the entirety of your life's water to nourish their roots. The echo of those words is deep, is it not? It makes you question the very soil you stand on. But here is a truth I wish to offer you. You were never perfect. No mountain is perfectly symmetrical. But you gave what you had to give. And when another soul refuses to see the water you offered, blinded by their focus on the clouds of the past, you must protect the stillness within you. So let us walk together and examine these currents, the ones that not only wound, but reveal a deeper imbalance, a blockage in the flow. The first distortion appears in the words, "You owe me." This may not be spoken so plainly. It may be hidden within other shapes like, "After all the hardship I endured because of you," or "My life would not be a struggle if you had been a better guide." Yet the energy behind them is identical. It says you are in their debt, for your time, your life force, your peace. It is as if they hold your own heart in their hands, demanding a payment for a contract you never signed. That is not the way of love. That is the path of control. You see, the love that flows from a child, in its pure form, is rooted in the soil of gratitude. This does not mean they cannot share their wounds or ask difficult questions about the seasons that have passed. But when they demand repayment for the way they grew, when they turn your very role as the source into a weapon, the river becomes poisoned. You do not owe your adult children the harvest of your autumn years. You do not owe them the entirety of your spirit's energy, especially when it is drained without thought, without reverence. If a grown child uses the weight of guilt to bind you, that is not the way of family. That is the way of a tangled cord, an energetic debt. The second distortion to observe with clarity is this: you are just old. You would not understand. This arrow has a different sting, does it not? It is not of anger, but of dismissal. It is an attempt to make you invisible, as if your wisdom, your journey, the tapestry of your life's learnings, have turned to dust. You may have walked through fires and floods, through the loss of kin and the dawn of miracles, through heart-shattering pain and quiet victories. And all of it is swept aside by a single label: hold. Allow me to share a teaching from my lineage. To be older is not to be irrelevant. It is to become the mountain. You have seen seasons that a young sapling cannot yet imagine. You have survived winters that would break a younger branch. When your own child uses your seasons to silence your voice, they are not seeing with clear eyes. They are seeing with disrespect. Do not accept this illusion. You have every right to share the light of your awareness, your guidance, your concern, especially when it flows from a place of love. Your age is not a failing. It is a vessel of deep knowing. And if someone you have nourished forgets this, it is not your path to convince them. It is your path to protect your own sacred ground. Sometimes this means taking a step back, becoming the silent, distant mountain, until they remember the earth from which they grew and what you have given. The third distortion that should awaken every part of your awareness is this: if you do not help me, I will find my own way without you. At first, this sounds like the warrior's spirit, admirable. But listen deeper. Listen to the energy beneath the words. Does it come from a place of centered strength, or is it a threat? Is it a declaration of self-reliance, or is it an ultimatum designed to bend your will? Too often, adult children use this shape of language to bind you. They create a false crossroad: give me what I desire, or the path to you will be closed. As the source of their life, this strikes at a deep fear. The fear of disconnection, of being exiled from their heart's landscape, can lead you to surrender again and again. But a connection built upon this foundation is not of love. It is of fear. And true love, the love that is a clear flowing spring, is never a threat. True love says, your support would be a blessing on my path. It does not say, give it to me, or I will vanish. If your child is only present when they thirst for something, if their warmth depends on what you provide, then what you have is not a relationship. It is a transaction, and your spirit is worth more than that. You have spent decades building your life, your home, the temple of your memories. This season of life is meant for peace. It is for quiet joy, for rest, for purpose, for connections that are as pure as clean water. It is not for demands, for pressure, for walking on sharp stones. I know this path is not easy. To walk away, even just energetically, from a soul you love with all of your being, it goes against the deepest instinct of a nurturer. But sometimes, love means saying, enough. Sometimes protecting your own inner temple is the most profound lesson you can offer. For it teaches another how they must treat what is sacred. You are not abandoning them by drawing a line in the earth. You are reminding them that respect is a path that must be walked in both directions. That your value does not wither with the seasons. That your love is a spring, not a debt to be drawn upon. And I can promise you this: the moment you reclaim the dignity of your own space, the moment you cease to absorb disrespect, simply because it wears the face of family, you will feel a lightness, a freedom, a strength you had forgotten. Now, let us continue our walk, for there are more shadows to illuminate. And each one holds a powerful teaching about how we are treated and how we deserve to be seen. When someone you love begins to treat you as an echo, when their words carry more of a hook than a gentle hand, it is not merely disappointing, it is draining. And when that person is your own child, it creates a silent crack in the heart that few speak of. Let us continue, because the clarity we uncover here may shelter you from years of inner storm and spiritual exhaustion. The next phrase to observe with compassion is, "You're the reason my path is this way." I know that to be a guide is to make mistakes. Every single parent, no matter how much love they hold, has moments they wish they could walk again, differently. This is the nature of being human. But when an adult child ceaselessly points to you as the source of their own life's map, without ever taking the rudder of their own ship, it becomes a cycle of blame. And this is a heavy anchor that no one is meant to carry forever. You may hear it in moments of discord or when they navigate their own troubled waters. Perhaps they say, "If you had been a stronger son, my leaves would not feel such fear." Or, "If you had shown me a different way, my life would now be a garden." And again, because you are their source, the words strike deep. You begin to question every choice, every no that was spoken from love, every sacrifice that you believed was for the good of the whole. But here is the truth. To give life to another is not to carry lifelong responsibility for the destination they choose. They have free will. As adults, they have made choices, and these choices are the waters of their own river. Pointing to you may soothe their own discomfort for a moment, but it keeps them from learning to sail. It keeps them tethered, and it keeps you trapped in a cycle of a debt you do not owe. You did not raise a flawless child, just as you were not a flawless parent. But if you tended them with love, if you did your best with the light you had, and continued to show up when the path was dark and difficult, then you have walked your path. The rest, that is theirs. Do not allow them to hang their journey around your neck like a chain of stones. And if they continue this, despite your attempts to support their forward movement, if no connection is possible without dragging you through the mud of the past, then it may be time to take a sacred step back. Not because your love has ended, but because it is too deep to continue allowing them to wound both of you this way. Now, the next phrase can emerge in the heat of a storm, or sometimes in a chillingly quiet moment, and it is this one. You never really loved me. If these words have ever been aimed at your heart, I invite you to stop and take a single deep breath right now. Because I know how this arrow pierces. That single sentence can feel as if it erases everything. Every embrace, every meal offered, every sleepless night you waited for their safe return, all turned to nothing. But let us see this clearly. That phrase is not just wounding. It is an act of deep unkindness. Love is not always perfect. And sometimes, love does not wear the mask that others expect. Perhaps you were a quiet river, not a roaring one. Perhaps you were the steady mountain, not always the warm sun. But you gave what was yours to give. And love is not measured in grand declarations. It is measured in presence, in the willingness to stay, in making the hard choices, even when they were met with misunderstanding. For another soul to erase all of that with a single breath, it is not only unjust, it is an energetic attack. It is often used to win a moment of conflict, to devastate you into surrender, into begging for forgiveness for a crime you did not commit. You cannot spend the golden season of your life defending yourself to someone who has chosen to forget your heart. If they are willing to turn your own love against you as a weapon, that is not a child seeking to heal a wound. It is a soul seeking to control. And sometimes, the most profound act of love is to let go. You do not need to keep proving your nature to someone who refuses to see the sun. True love does not need convincing. It can feel the warmth even when clouds are present. If your child truly loved you, they would not seek to break your heart with words like these. They would not wish to see you weep. They would not wish to be the source of your pain, which brings us to another distortion, revealing much more than it appears. You're just being dramatic. This one may not sound as sharp at first. It may even be delivered with a hollow laugh. But make no mistake, it is a form of erasure, a way to silence you, to invalidate your feelings, to suggest you are a small storm in a teacup every time you speak your inner weather. And let us be honest, how many times in your life have you been told to be quiet, to be stronger, to not cause a stir? Especially as you have gathered more seasons, perhaps you have noticed that your thoughts are not given the same weight. People interrupt, they speak over you, they nod without truly listening. So, when your own child brushes off your feelings with a casual, "You're just being dramatic," it reinforces a painful illusion that your emotions are meaningless, your perspective is dated, your voice has no place at the center of the fire. But let me say to you, now, your voice matters more than ever. You have lived, you have learned, you have endured, you have loved, and your perspective is not dramatic. It is deep. It is rooted in the earth of experience. It is rich with the texture of a life fully lived. And when anyone, especially one you have nurtured, tries to make you feel small for expressing your truth, that is not just disrespect. That is an act of silencing. And you do not have to accept that. You are worthy of being heard. You are worthy of speaking without fear of being made small. And if those closest to you cannot hold that sacred space for you, you are absolutely within your right to create that space for yourself. To step away, to draw that boundary, to say, "No, my voice will not be dismissed." Because this part of your journey, This chapter you are living now is not about pleasing those who do not see your value. It is about standing firm in the temple of your being. It is about rediscovering peace, dignity, and a quiet joy. It is about living with a full heart, without being dragged into the shallow waters of another's immaturity. So as we continue to shine a light on these phrases, I want you to remember, each of these is not just about words. They are about patterns of disrespect, control, and manipulation. And the moment you begin to see them for the illusions they are, you begin to take back your own life force. This is not about turning your back on your kin. It is about turning your face toward yourself, toward the self-respect, the peace, and the clarity that is your birthright. You are not too old to create sacred space. You are not too old to begin anew. You are not too old to say, "This is enough." And if any part of your heart is aching as you hear these words, if you are remembering a conversation, a look, a moment that made you feel diminished, know this: you are not alone in this. So many carry this pain in silence, but today, you have given yourself permission to name it. And soon, we will speak of the final phrases, for they reveal the deepest truths about where you stand and how to walk forward with strength. Let us continue, for the next illusion we must illuminate might seem harmless, a simple weed in the garden, but its roots can quietly choke the life from your sense of worth. It is this: I didn't ask for your opinion. Of course, every soul has the right to choose which path they follow. Your grown children are free to make their own choices, even those you feel are unwise. That is the journey of growing. You know this. You have accepted this. But when your child's response is a sharp, "I didn't ask," or more cutting still, no one needs your opinion. It reaches a place deeper than they know. Because what is truly being said in that moment is this: your wisdom is not welcome. Your voice is an intrusion. The decades you have spent gathering experience, learning difficult lessons, walking this earth, they somehow mean nothing simply because the calendar has turned. This is a hard truth to face, especially when your only intent was to offer a lantern. Not because you believe your way is the only way, not because you seek control, but because you love, because you care. And when that care is met with a closed door, when your insight is treated as a burden rather than a blessing, it creates a divide that does not just separate, it isolates. If your child constantly silences you, dismisses your thoughts, or makes you feel that your presence in their life is conditional, based on your silence or your agreement, that is not a relationship of mutual honor. That is control. And no parent, no matter how many seasons they have seen, deserves to be pushed to the edges of their own family's fire. You have a right to your thoughts. You have a right to your voice. And even if they do not walk the path you suggest, they should be able to hear it without contempt. A respectful adult does not have to agree, but they must always honor your place as the source. If they do not, you must ask your own heart, am I offering my presence to a connection that no longer offers its presence to me? Now, we have held what is perhaps the most painful illusion for last, and I wish to speak of this with great care. It is the moment your child says, "You are the one who needs help, not me." There is a context where these words could flow from love. Perhaps you have been struggling, or they perceive a need and wish to offer support. That is one path. But too often this phrase is not used as an offering. It is used as a shield, a deflection, a way to evade their own reflection in the mirror by turning it back upon you. Imagine you are trying to address a pattern. Perhaps it is their way of speaking to you, the energy they bring, or their absence from your life. And instead of listening, they reply, "You are the one who is unstable. You are the one who needs a master. You are overreacting again." This is not care. This is a technique of the mind, what some call gaslighting. And it is a poison. Because the moment you begin to question your own reality, your own feelings, your memory of what is true, you become ungrounded. You become easier to control. You begin to shrink, to doubt, to apologize for wounds you did not inflict. This is precisely how the energy of control operates. So, let me remind you of a very important truth. To need support is human, but to be told you need help as a way to silence you, to shame you, or to shift accountability, that is not support. That is an attack. And when it flows from your own child, it is even more piercing, for they know the landscape of your heart. If a conversation leaves you feeling as if you are losing your ground, as if you are always the source of the problem, as if your truth has no value unless it matches their story, you have every right to step back. You are not required to keep your heart open to someone who uses your love against you. Now, if you are still here, still breathing with me, still feeling the echo of these truths, I want to share something that you may have been waiting a long time to hear. You deserve respect, not mere tolerance, not polite emptiness. You deserve true respect, the kind that sees your heart, your effort, your journey, the kind that listens when you speak, the kind that honors the simple, profound truth that you are the reason they are here at all. And I know some of this path we have walked has been difficult. Perhaps it has stirred old pains or fresh ones. Perhaps you have held back tears or memories that you do not often visit. That is a good sign. For acknowledging these things does not make you weak. It makes you courageous. It means you are finally ready to stop carrying this weight in silence. It means you are ready to put your own spirit first, not because your love for them has ceased, but because you have started to love yourself again. So, where do you walk from here? You begin by honoring what you feel. You stop sweeping the dust under the rug simply to keep a false peace. You give yourself permission to draw sacred lines. Perhaps this means fewer calls. Perhaps it means saying no to demands that arrive without grace. Perhaps it means having a final, quiet conversation that begins with, "I will no longer be spoken to in a way that dishonors my spirit." And maybe, in time, they will see. Maybe their heart will soften. But even if it does not, you will have chosen dignity over damage. You will have chosen peace over the illusion of pleasing others. And that, my friend, is one of the most powerful practices you can embrace in this season of your life. You have earned your rest. You have earned your voice. And you deserve to spend your years surrounded by energy that sees your value, not that which questions it. If this journey has touched something within you, if it has helped you see your inner landscape more clearly, I invite you to share a quiet thought below. You never know what other traveler is reading, feeling the same quiet ache. And if you have found this to be of service, share this light with others and join our community. We are here to support one another with honest, deep conversations that help us all stand in our center, live with grace, and love ourselves more with each rising sun. Here is to protecting your peace, honoring your spirit, and walking forward with stillness and strength. Because you are not alone, and you are not powerless. You are a soul of deep experience, of resilience, of profound love. And you deserve a life that reflects this truth. Here is to living your most authentic life at any age. I will see you on the path. Walk in peace.